The West Philippine Sea is on edge. The waters churn not just with waves, but with uncertainty and the ever-present threat of conflict. This region, rich in resources and strategic value, has become a flashpoint in Asia, drawing the eyes of the world. On October 29, 2025, tensions between the Philippines and China have reached a dangerous high. Recent confrontations have escalated, with both sides refusing to back down, and the world's media closely tracking every development. The Philippines views these waters as vital to its sovereignty and security, while China claims nearly the entire area, citing its disputed 9-line. This overlapping of claims has fueled a bitter rivalry, with each nation determined to assert its rights. Chinese Coast Guard and maritime militia vessels now routinely harass Philippine ships, turning what should be routine supply runs into tense, high-stakes standoffs. Filipino crews are often outnumbered and outgunned, yet they persist, determined to defend their nation's interests. Filipino sailors face a powerful adversary, risking escalation with every mission. Each journey into these contested waters is fraught with danger, as even a minor incident could spiral into open conflict. The world watches, aware that a misstep could spark a wider conflict and disrupt global trade. International leaders and analysts warn that the stakes extend far beyond the region, with the potential to impact economies and security worldwide. Trillions in commerce and vital resources are at stake, making this more than a local dispute. The West Philippine Sea is a crucial artery for global shipping, and any instability here threatens the flow of goods, energy, and prosperity across continents. The U.S. has voiced support for Manila, sending Navy ships to assert freedom of navigation and warn Beijing. American involvement signals that the conflict could draw in major powers, raising the stakes even higher. Yet every close encounter raises the risk of miscalculation. A single wrong move, a misunderstood signal, or an accidental collision could ignite a crisis with far-reaching consequences. Anxiety runs from the decks of Philippine boats to the halls of power in Manila, Beijing, and Washington. Leaders weigh their options, knowing that decisions made in these tense moments could shape the future of the region and the world. The question is no longer if a crisis will erupt, but when and how the world will respond. As the situation grows ever more volatile, the world holds its breath, hoping for diplomacy, but preparing for the worst. China's moves in the West Philippine Sea are calculated, not random. Through gray zone tactics, using Coast Guard and maritime militia instead of warships, China asserts control without open conflict. Its claims, based on the 9-line, were rejected by a 2016 international tribunal, but Beijing ignores the ruling, relying on its growing power. This strategy stokes nationalism at home and secures resources and strategic depth for China. The result: instability and mistrust across Southeast Asia, with neighbors like Vietnam and Malaysia alarmed by China's treatment of the Philippines. Regional militarization is rising, and alliances with the U.S. are strengthening in response. China's shadow looms, forcing the region to adapt to a new, uncertain reality. Where are tensions in the South China Sea more visible than at 2nd Thomas Shoal, a remote and contested reef that has become a flashpoint in the ongoing maritime dispute between the Philippines and China? Here, the Philippines maintains a precarious outpost aboard the BRP Sierra Madre, a World War II-era ship intentionally grounded on the reef in 1999 to assert Manila's claim. Over the years, the ship has become a symbol of resistance, its rusting hull weathering both the elements and political storms. Filipino Marines stationed on the Sierra Madre depend on dangerous supply runs, often braving rough seas and the constant threat of interception by Chinese Coast Guard vessels. These missions have grown increasingly perilous, as Chinese ships now routinely block, shadow, and harass the supply boats, escalating the risk of confrontation. In recent months, China's use of powerful water cannons to drive back Philippine boats has sparked outrage and condemnation from the international community. Despite this, Beijing insists Manila is provoking the standoff and continues to enforce its blockade, heightening tensions in the region. Each successful supply run is celebrated as a hard-won victory for the Philippines, a testament to the courage and determination of its sailors and Marines. Conversely, every failed attempt is a stark reminder of the mounting pressure and the growing difficulty of maintaining their presence on the shoal. The Sierra Madre, battered but unbowed, stands as a powerful symbol of Philippine defiance. Yet its future, and the fragile peace in the region, remain uncertain, hanging in the balance as the standoff drags on. While world leaders issue statements condemning China's actions and calling for restraint, diplomatic words alone have yet to alter the tense reality on the water. The situation remains volatile, with no clear resolution in sight. The ongoing standoff at Second Thomas Shoal is more than a territorial dispute. It is a real-life drama with high stakes for the Philippines, China, and the entire region, as the world watches and waits to see what happens next. The United States plays a pivotal role in the West Philippine Sea, keeping a vigilant eye on developments and reaffirming its commitment to regional stability and the principle of freedom of navigation. American warships regularly patrol these contested waters, signaling a strong presence and a clear message to all parties involved. While the U.S. remains officially neutral on the question of sovereignty over disputed islands, Washington is firm in its stance that all maritime claims must adhere to established international law, particularly the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. This insistence on legal norms is a cornerstone of U.S. policy in the region. The 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty between the United States and the Philippines has taken on renewed significance. Today, it explicitly states that any armed attack on Philippine forces, aircraft, or public vessels in the South China Sea will invoke U.S. obligations under the treaty, making the American commitment unmistakably clear. This enhanced clarity significantly raises the stakes for China. Any harassment or aggression against Philippine vessels could now trigger a direct U.S. response, increasing the risks for Beijing and reinforcing deterrence in the region. To back up its words with action, the U.S. Navy conducts regular freedom of navigation operations, sailing near disputed islands to challenge excessive maritime claims and demonstrate unwavering resolve to uphold international law. In recent years, joint U.S.-Philippines military exercises have grown in both scale and complexity. Intelligence sharing, joint training, and coordinated patrols have all intensified, significantly boosting Manila's capacity for self-defense and crisis response. The American approach is multifaceted: reinforce treaty commitments, maintain a credible and visible presence, and empower allies like the Philippines to deter conflict and respond to emerging threats. This comprehensive strategy, involving not just the U.S. but also regional and global partners, aims to prevent escalation, foster cooperation, and preserve a free and open Indo-Pacific for all nations. U.S. support extends beyond military measures. It includes building critical infrastructure, providing humanitarian aid, and enhancing disaster response capabilities, all of which help strengthen the Philippines' resilience in the face of multiple challenges. The message to Beijing is unmistakable. Any act of aggression or coercion will not go unanswered, and the U.S. stands ready to defend its allies and uphold international order. Ultimately, the security of the region depends on credible deterrence, robust alliances, and a shared commitment to peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific. Inside the U.S. military, some argue current strategies aren't enough to deter China's gray zone tactics. A U.S. Navy commander warns that China's incremental coercion, water cannons, ramming, lasers, avoids triggering the Mutual Defense Treaty, but steadily erodes Philippine control. He proposes a shift: U.S. ships should actively escort Philippine resupply missions, forcing China to reconsider its aggression. Critics fear escalation, but others say inaction risks losing the West Philippine Sea. The debate in Washington is intensifying. Escalate to deter, or risk credibility and regional order. The status quo is becoming untenable. The U.S. faces a choice: risk confrontation or risk losing influence and allies. The next move could redefine the balance in the region. The U.S. must support the Philippines without sparking a wider conflict. Strengthening alliances is key. Expanded U.S. access to Philippine bases and deeper cooperation with partners like Japan, Australia, and India signal unity. Multinational naval exercises show resolve, while diplomatic channels with Beijing remain open to manage crises. The challenge deter China without cornering it into escalation. Every move is scrutinized. Reassuring allies can look like provocation to Beijing, and vice versa. The US walks a diplomatic tightrope, balancing deterrence with dialogue. The risk of miscalculation grows as both sides harden their positions. Success depends on clear communication, strong partnerships, and avoiding fatal errors. The West Philippine Sea faces several futures. The status quo, constant tension, periodic flare-ups, could persist, eroding stability. A diplomatic breakthrough is possible but unlikely without major shifts in Beijing or global pressure. The nightmare, a deadly incident triggers the Mutual Defense Treaty, risking US-China conflict and global chaos. Alternatively, China's pressure could force the Philippines to abandon its outpost, handing Beijing a strategic victory and undermining US credibility. Each scenario carries risks for the region and the world. The stakes, peace, sovereignty, and the future of international order. The next crisis could reshape Asia's balance of power. Peace in the West Philippine Sea demands a layered approach. First, reduce immediate risks. Establish rules of engagement and communication between Chinese and Philippine vessels. ASEAN must push for a binding code of conduct, presenting a united front to Beijing. Economic incentives and targeted measures can encourage cooperation and penalize aggression. Joint development of resources and environmental protection could build trust. The path is difficult, but cooperation is the only route to lasting peace. All sides must be willing to compromise for regional stability. The world's response will shape whether the sea becomes a zone of conflict or cooperation. International law, anchored by UNCLOS, is the foundation for peace in the West Philippine Sea. The 2016 tribunal ruling affirmed the Philippines' rights and rejected China's expansive claims. Ignoring these laws threatens the global order, signaling that might makes right. Upholding the rules-based system requires collective action. No nation can do it alone. Global condemnation of China's actions and joint patrols reinforce that these are universal principles. The goal convinced China that cooperation, not coercion, serves its interests. The world must stand firm, strengthening alliances and demanding respect for international law. The peace of the 21st century may depend on it.